Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Red Devils experience. Hope you're all doing well. Hope everybody is good. We got a lot of updates coming through here. Olise wants United. Branthwaite is maybe priced out of a deal. Eric Ten Hag manager update coming up, or maybe not, depending on what we're gonna choose to follow here, because there's a couple different updates saying a couple different things. And we got some miscellaneous updates. Benny McCarthy update. Mason Greenwood update as well. Casemiro update and a couple other player transfer targets updates. So we got a lot to get to. Obviously, it's been a little bit since we were last live. I hope everybody's doing good. I see Lyle's in here. I see Richard's in here. Good to see you guys. Hope you guys are doing good. As you can see up on the screen, I'm just making sure the audio is good. Yeah. Oh. Audio's a little funny. Alright, I think we're alright. If the audio's acting up, guys, let me know. If it sounds bad, let me know. I'll try and fix it, but I think it's alright. So, as you can see here, we got two updates from Ben Jacobs to kick off the show. Michael Olise obviously has been very much linked to Manchester United since probably January, maybe even a little bit before. These links have continued through the past couple months, and now they are heating back up again once the transfer window is about to open. So as you can see here, Ben Jacobs, who is a credible journalist, he was on the United Stand this morning providing these updates, said Manchester United and Chelsea are two clubs interested in Michael Olise. United are more advanced at the moment, but Chelsea did try to do a deal last summer, so they know the conditions as well. He went on to say, given a straight choice between Manchester United and Chelsea, the player would prefer United. That's my understanding. So according to Ben Jacobs this morning, it seems like Manchester United are the absolute favorites as of right now to sign Michael Olise. There hasn't been any updates coming through on United's front so far in terms of initiating the deal instead of or making a formal offer. But I expect that to come soon. He is definitely a player that we could do a deal for quickly. He does have a release clause. So, Olise is a childhood fan. Olise would be a solid choice. What a player. I mean, yeah, absolutely. I think he is a good player, and I think at least for INEOS' first transfer window, I think what we're gonna see is they're gonna try and get a couple players from the Premier League. I think it's safe, but also I think it's smart business. I mean, these guys have been playing in the Premier League. Players like Olise, players like Branthwaite, players like Torsen. They've been in the Premier League. They're Premier League proven to a certain extent. There shouldn't be that much of an adjustment period at all. Because they're familiar with the league, they play in the league. So I think we're gonna see a couple deals like this. If the price is right, of course. Because we do have updates on the budget as well, and the budget is a little bit tight. We're not 100% broke, but we're also not gonna run around and be splashing probably 100 million on a player as well. So probably like we discussed at some point earlier, there's smart deals to be made. There's deals to be done. There's deals you could get for 40, 50, maybe 60 million, depending on the player. But I think we're going to see a lot of deals like that. So, yeah, I like Olise. I think Olise is a good player. I think he's a good winger. I think he gives us something a little bit different. I think his mix and his balance, that he offers, he can attack, like in terms of cutting inside. He can have a go at goal. He can score goals, but he can also create. He has good pace. He has good intelligence, in my opinion, as well. When he's on the ball, good dribbling. So I think it's a very good buy if we get him. And obviously we just got to make sure that we get the best price possible. What you guys saying? Richard saying I will take Torsen on a free, but Branthwaite anything over 50 mil is a no no. Well, we're gonna get on to that, and you're saying it's a no no, and I think INEOS are in line with us here because they're also kind of saying it's a no no. And we will get on to that update. And Lyle's saying 60 million release clause is not too pricey for known bowler, would be good deal, trigger the clause and be done early. I mean, the faster we could get deals done, the better. Allows the players the adjustment period to come in to get ready to be focused for preseason and all that. And we can also get other deals more faster. The faster we do one deal, we could do another deal faster on top of that. Obviously, of course, we need the manager situation to be. We need the manager situation to be sorted. We need the manager situation to be settled because without the manager situation being settled or sorted, the club cannot necessarily move forward. There's too much noise. There's too much eyes on this situation right now of Eric Ten Hag and if INEOS are going to keep him or not. There's a lot of talk, a lot of discussion going on around that. I've always held the opinion and belief that they should keep him. I think it would be the correct decision to keep him. I've taken the past couple days. The reason why we haven't really gone live is because I was kind of thinking and hoping that there would be some decision made by now. I was kind of expecting it maybe to be towards the end of the week. It might come tomorrow. There was an update saying that it might come tomorrow. There was an update that just came out like 10 minutes ago saying that it's not expected this week. So it's seeming like it's 50-50, but I really just wanted to sit back, kind of take in everything that's being said and formulate maybe a better opinion on everything that's going on in that situation. And what I've really seen is that I really do feel like the media is using the opportunity to push a certain narrative or agenda or a story because of the silence from INEOS. It seems like the media is running with it and people are jumping onto the story. And for me, I think the truth is somewhere in the middle between the fact that I think they always said that they were going to do a review. I think the review was always going to be done regardless if he was going to win or lose. Some people might argue that. Some people might have said that if we didn't win, they would have sacked him the day after. We'll never know because it didn't happen, right? But from the original things that were reported, it was reported that they were going to do a review once the FA Cup was over. So I want to take that original reporting and go with that because they have continued to the end of the season to do the review. There's a lot of talk, there's a lot of speculation. Some people and journalists were reporting already that he was already sacked, that they already made the decision, that the review was done weeks ago, months ago. Then there's other people coming out saying the opposite of that, and it's sort of a mess. And I believe that where we actually are is that INEOS said that they were going to do a review of the season and the other season. They were going to take their time to review it, and they were going to make a decision based off of that. And I think that's where we are. I don't think they actually made a decision. I don't think there's any necessarily backtracking. I just think that they didn't actually make the decision. I think the media tried to jump in front, putting out stories like that. Some of them have walked it back. Some of them have put out different stories, kind of going against what they originally reported, kind of indicating that INEOS is the ones that are changing their minds. And I don't think INEOS is necessarily changing their mind because I don't think INEOS made a decision. I don't think INEOS actually ever made a decision. And that's why we have this review. And it seems like that's why it's going to take longer than a week. What are you guys saying in here? Lyle is saying we have a long summer ahead. If we can get 4 to 5 players in early, then that will be a good window with some decent outgoings as well. Yeah, actually, I agree with you there, Lyle. But I do think that 4 to 5 players is probably the most we're gonna be able to get in. But if we can get in 4 to 5 players, quality too, right? Players that are gonna add some value to this club. I would like to see probably all 4 or 5 of them be, if not, starters, like the potential to start, to come in to disrupt some of that first team. And also we do have to do some good and decent outgoings. And the outgoings are important as well because if we are to get in all 4 or 5 of those players, we're gonna need to sell some players because we have, from reports that I seen, we have about I seen a report saying we have about maybe 80 million. I still think it's about 100. I think 100 is a pretty standard budget, even for the situation that we're in. We did end up getting into Europe, so I think that kind of helped us a little bit more. And I think 100 plus player sales will get us to where we need what we need to do. But I just hope that the targets that we go for, we can get our targets, get them in quick, and start moving forward for the next season. I do not want the same situation that Manchester United has been for every season since Ferguson has left. I do not want to be short 3 transfer targets and the preseason has started. We need to have our targets in and well before the preseason so that they're ready to go. The team's ready to go. The chemistry is built correctly. The preseason is done correctly. So we need to see this. Tosin I'd bring in too. He's on a free and he has Premier League experience. If you get rid of a Lindelof or something, even if Tosin isn't the main guy, right? Even if Tosin isn't gonna be the starter, Tosin would be a good backup. So we could be using that too. Richard Hawkins saying, well, as you know, I was never an Eric Ten Hag man. However, he is better than the rest, and I think the club are not treating him fairly. Well, yeah, I respect that, Richard, and maybe this comes with the older age and the experience and the wisdom, right? But unfortunately, there's many people, and I assume they're younger, on the younger side, probably even younger than me. And it's also the internet as well. But they don't speak like that, and they don't talk like that, and I don't think they think like that either. They're very hyperbolic. From what I've been seeing, and I've been paying attention to a lot of news and a lot of reaction the past couple days while we haven't been live. The reaction very much is either red or green. There is no in between. Um, there is no in between, and that's kind of why I'm taking this stance of in between. Uh, because I think that is the most logical in my opinion. People think he's 100% staying, and people think he's 100% already sacked. And I just think that the decision hasn't actually been made, and people are speculating, and people need to calm down and relax. Now, I understand, is he being treated fairly? You could argue no. Some people will argue yes. At the same time, the world isn't fair. Well, what I think is the most important to come out of this is that they make the correct decision. And for me, in my opinion, the correct decision would be to keep him. Um, is it fair he's got to go through this? I don't like it. I think it could have probably been handled a little bit, definitely better. But at the end of the day, for me, the most important thing that comes out of this is the decision they make. If they do all of this and they decide to keep him on, we can all move on and we'll be all right. If they decide to get rid of him, we're going to have to move on. We're going to have to accept the decision, but I'm not going to be happy about it. So, um, Lyle's saying the longer it takes, the more I feel I would be good for Eric Ten Hag. If it was a done deal, it would have been announced already. I hope I am right. Well, that's what I'm saying. There's so many arguments to go back and forth for a reason of he's sacked, he's not sacked. A lot of people say what you said, Lyle. Like, if it was already made, why hasn't he been sacked? And there's always arguments for, well, we won the cup. They don't want to sack him near the celebration, so they pushed it down the line. As I'm saying, it's a lot of speculation. I really feel like nobody actually knows, including the journalists that are reporting this stuff, because I think INEOS hasn't actually made a decision. Therefore, there's no possible way that anybody would know what they've decided, because they don't know. They haven't decided. You know what I mean? So, um, Richard saying INEOS has started a process. I was sold today for one pound. Well, we could get on to that stuff, but let's switch gears a little bit, and we'll come back to that because we got updates on that. But let's get on to Jared Branthwaite and why he might be priced out of a deal. So as you can see here, Jared Branthwaite is a summer transfer target for Manchester United, of course, as we know. But Everton's asking price may be a stumbling block. There are concerns that Everton could demand as much as 75 million. This is from Rob Dawson, from ESPN. And there was something that followed up on that, which I believe is this. And it is Manchester United would ideally like a right-sided centre-back to replace Rafael Varane, and a left-sided centre-back to act as cover for Lisandro Martinez, which is important, and we need that. However, there is a possibility that Everton's asking price for Jared Branthwaite, who is a left-footed, could convince United's recruitment team to focus on signing a right-footed player instead. So, if we take that for what they're saying, it's a little bit, not that I don't understand, it's a little bit confusing to me. So they're kind of saying that, like, we're looking, he is our left-footed target. If the price is too high, they're saying that United are going to switch gears and focus on signing a right-footed player instead, which would then be the replacement for Varane. So I assume that they're saying that they're still going to look to get both, but they might prioritize one over the other depending on how difficult the deal is going to be, which is all right, because I think that's what you need to do. You need to be flexible, but as long as they don't give up on one to go for the other. If you're going to do both, we're going to do both. We need to get both at the end of the day. But obviously, as Richard was saying before, this price tag of 75 million is too high. It's way too high. This is something that Manchester United. This is the type of things we cannot be doing. And as Richard is saying again, he's only 21. He's not proven. 75 is extreme. In today's market, maybe not extreme, but it's still too high for my liking. You know what I mean? I understand Premier League player. It's going from a Premier League team to Premier League team, so obviously the fee is probably going to be a little higher than that. He's English, so it's going to be a little bit higher than if you grabbed a player of his quality from another league like La Liga or something like that. But then also, 21, he does have that potential factor, which a lot of clubs take into account nowadays. That is factored into the price, of course. But I think he is, for his age, 21. I think he's very good. So far, what he's done, I think he's a solid option at center back, and I think he has potential to grow. But the thing where I have the problem is that Manchester United have done things like this where we pay 75 million for this kid, because essentially he's a kid. He's 21. We pay 75 million. He comes to Manchester United. The spotlight's on him a lot more than it is at Everton. The scrutiny is a lot more than it is at Everton. He's going to get criticized more heavily. He's going to be watched more heavily. If he doesn't perform good, if he has mistakes, if he has bad moments, if his performances dip or they're just poor over a certain period of time, that 75 million, that shit goes down the drain for us. Um, we kind of have to try and minimize our risk while buying quality. Because if you get him for 75 million and it doesn't go to plan at Manchester United and it goes quite awful, might I say maybe something like a Maguire, for example, and I know he's not a similar player to Maguire, but how Maguire's first couple seasons went, if that happens, even though he is young, we are still going to lose quite a lot of money. If you can bring it down to around 50-55 million, you're minimizing the risk of potentially losing a lot of money on a player. And then also the upside of that is if he performs well, his price is only going to increase, which would help us. If we were to ever sell him, we would make profit off of the deal, which is something we need to start looking to do because we haven't been doing that for years, and it has led to the current financial situation that we are in. So, what you guys saying? Lies saying priced out indeed 75 million is bonkers. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's potentially. It is potentially priced out. Obviously there's room for negotiation. And we will see how those negotiations go. This is just the initial phase. Manchester United want him for around 50 million or something like that, right? And Everton want him for 75. I would think maybe there's some middle ground there to work with. Obviously that depends on the talks. Everton are always going to ask for more. United are always going to ask for less. And if you're smart enough, and you know what you're doing in your job, for example, if you're Everton and you want 60 million for Branthwaite, right? Like it's secretly in your head. If you're like, we'll let Jared go for 60 million, you don't tell Manchester United, we'll let him go for 60 million because Manchester United is going to offer you 50 or 55. They're not going to try and hit 60. But if you tell Manchester United, but we want 75, Manchester United is going to go, well, we'll pay 50. And then you kind of negotiate and somebody somewhere will bring it forward to the table of, all right, what about 60? What about 65 million? And then that's maybe where a deal could be struck. So Sandy's in here. Sandy, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. We're talking about Jared Branthwaite. We just talked about Olise. Preferring Manchester United over Chelsea. And, we're waiting to see what comes out of that. Richard saying we can get to Debo for 40 million and toss him for free. We can. We absolutely can. And you know what? We might go down that route as well. Maybe INEOS doesn't want to. Maybe they decide it's not worth the hassle to go for Branthwaite. Maybe Everton don't want to budge. Maybe Everton are stubborn. Maybe Everton actually wants 75 million from him, and they're like, "Screw you, we're not selling him for less than that." Maybe that does happen. Maybe we get all three. Which would be crazy, but if one's free, I don't really count the free signing. It's almost like a plus. You know what I mean? Because you're not really spending the fee. It would depend, obviously, on who's staying and who's going. Like, if we get rid of Lindelof and Maguire, if we get Lindelof and Maguire, we might need all three. You know what I mean? Because Varane's gone, that would be Lindelof gone and Maguire gone. So we might have to get all three. If Maguire stays, we get rid of Lindelof, then 2 out of the 3, and then you pick and choose out of that and see what you could do, Sandy saying, hey, my friend, good evening. Have missed you. So how is serious to sign Michael Rise? Who's that? You mean Michael Olise? I mean, he's been linked with us for quite some time now. I think, as you can see from the update from Ben Jacobs, he prefers Manchester United certainly over Chelsea. I think Liverpool's name was linked in there somewhere a little bit ago, but they don't seem too serious in that as of right now. We seem like the front runners for this. We seem like we are most likely to get him in. So it's just a case of wait and see. Obviously, I think we still need to figure out the manager thing first, and then the club can start moving forward on the transfers. But I expect probably either some news or maybe some movement in the next week or two, because I expect the Eric Ten Hag situation to be settled by next week. There's no way INEOS can let it go past next week. I would like for them the latest to get it sorted by Tuesday of next week. I think it's something that it needs to be taken care of, and the club has to stop focusing so much energy and time and wasting time on this. There's so many other problems at the club, and there's so many more important things we need to get right. You know what I mean? Like the player recruitment for one. So I think we need to get the ball moving. So the faster they do that, the better they do that. And Richard was saying Willie is there as a backup as well. Yeah, Willie will be there. Kumbala will be there, and Johnny Evans. I think Johnny Evans should probably get another year contract, 1 year contract. I'm not against that. Have him as a backup. You know, he's happy to just be part of the squad. He comes in and he does his job. I'm not against it. Not against it at all, especially what he's shown us this season. I think I'll be okay with that. You know what I mean? Especially as like an emergency backup. Willie can learn off him as well. So that would be good for Willie. And a couple of the other youth players that are there that maybe might be looking to break into the first team, you know? Um yeah. He does have good potential, Lyle. And you know, that was something that was I didn't put it in on this show, but it did come out the other day that um INEOS do want, you know, the youth to be pushed out more. They're trying to see if we could get some more youth players pushed through to the first team. They think it's important. And it is important, you know what I mean? It is important because like you're saying, you know, it saves the club money. And we can put more resources towards another position that we actually need, that we don't have one that's covered by the club through the youth system. Rich is saying Eric, he can do what he done last year, 15 maybe 20 minutes, but Johnny is 37. Yeah, I know he's 37. But it's an emergency, you know what I mean? Like we could just have him there just in case. What if we have another injury crisis? You know what I mean? What if we have another injury crisis at the back, which I don't think we're going to, but what if we do? You know what I mean? I'd rather have Johnny Evans than no center back. I'd rather have Johnny Evans there than no center back. So, you know, I don't think and I don't think his wages are that high anyway. So 1 year contract, another year contract, and then maybe he bows out at Manchester United, retires from the game, and calls it a day and retires as a United player. I think that's okay. 15, 20 minutes is all right too. That's all I would really expect from him anyway. But he would have to be pushed down the line for sure. Like Willie would have to be ahead of him, and you know, everybody else, Torsen and whoever else you got, you know. But we also have this. So let me see if this double fits. Oh, something wrong. Okay. So here, this comes from the United Muppeteers, who is they are fairly good with their sources as well. And this was on Eric Ten Hag. So the news regarding Eric Ten Hag being sacked after the FA Cup final has not come from INEOS. Wait, this is old. Son of a... Okay. I don't know how that snuck in there. I don't know how that snuck in. Ignore that one. I don't know how that snuck in there. That wasn't supposed to be in there. Okay, anyway, so this is the update we need. That's why I was saying this is funny. Okay, so here we go. These are the two updates. So Manchester United have described their finances as tight, but there is money to spend, and the budget has been boosted by the departure of the number of high earners over the last 2 years. So, you know, as I said before, this is what they're saying, that we don't have the largest budget in the world, right? Gremlins have entered the chat. the Gremlins are messing with the show. I don't know what's going on. They've snuck in. They've messed around with the whole layout. I don't know. He's on 60K. Richard is saying Johnny's on 60K. 60K's all right. Come on, Richard. Let's give him one more year. I'm all right with it. I'm all right with it. He could teach some of the younger players. They could learn a thing or two from him. Willie can learn some more things from him. You know, out of all the people that are there on a wage stealing a living, I think we could give Johnny 60K for another year. We could give 60K a week for another year. It's okay. But yes, as I was saying, Manchester United have described their finances as tight, and this is what I'm saying, that I don't think we're gonna see any crazy signings above 60 million. Right? I don't think we'll see any fees go above 60 million, which I'm not actually against, because, and I know people hate this, and I know people don't like this, but as an example, Manchester City for quite some time, up until probably recently, and maybe one or two players here and there, a lot of their signings, especially when they started out, they never really signed anybody over about 60 million or so. You know what I mean? They were all about for the same fee, which was a good price, for a good quality of player. That way, if they wanted to move the player on, they wouldn't lose too much money. If the player performed well and they decided they wanted to move him on, they could make a little bit of profit. I think that is the perfect middle ground to try and get some players. So I don't think we're going to see any player coming in for 75 million. I don't think we're broke, per se. But we're also not going to be signing any player like we have. There's no Anthony's coming in for 80 million. But again, we would all argue that we don't want that anyway. To that extent, right? If you're going to sign somebody for a lot of money, it's got to be somebody that's a somebody, right? Like a Vinicius Jr. or something. Obviously, he's going to cost you, who knows what he's going to cost you, 150, 200 million. But Harry Kane, before he went to Bayern, Harry Kane is Harry Kane. You pay 90 million, 100 million, whatever it is. Those are different stories. But Rob Dawson also went on to say, as well as a center back, which somebody else said we're looking at two center backs, Manchester United have put plans in place to sign a midfielder and a striker. Work has also been done to identify wingers who might be available, but the position is lower down the list of priorities. So, if we take into account what Rob Dawson is saying, while we are interested in Olise, maybe we don't get Olise, based on the list of priorities. Because if we're going to go in the order of priorities, we got to sign a center back. We definitely need a midfielder, and we definitely need a striker. I would put those ahead of the winger position. And then it would depend on the budget. So maybe Olise doesn't get done quickly. Maybe Olise gets done late, solely for the fact of that we have to make sure we get our top priorities first. Then maybe we have to sort out some deals to move players on to get some more of the transfer budget. And then maybe we would be able to go in for Olise once we get our top priorities in first. It's going to be a very interesting window. Let's see how it plays out. Let's see who becomes the first signing. It usually gives a little bit of indication, or better indication, of the way we're moving. So, a lot of things are being reported right now. Still, a lot of things are... Well, I'm not saying the news is necessarily wrong. It's a lot of speculation in terms of, how are we going to move? What moves are we actually going to make? The speed in which we're going to do it. And the actual budget in terms of, like, how much are we actually going to spend when the window closes? Lyle saying Mbappe for $1 billion. Yeah. Let's get the cash injection from Let's get the cash injection. Let's get the cash injection from Football Manager when you buy it for whatever it is, like $3.99. They come in, they give you a whole bunch of money, and then you start just buying every player there is. Richard saying he would swap Mbappe for Anthony. What are you, crazy? Are you crazy, Richard? Come on. You're gonna swap Anthony for... Who would do such a thing? No way. That's sarcasm, by the way. um, Sandy saying, "What is the day the window transfer is going to open?" It's actually a very good question. Because I don't I forgot the date. So I will get that for. As you can hear, I'm typing it up right now. June 14th. The Premier League and EFL summer transfer window opens on June 14th, the same day as the Euros kick off. Before shutting down on Friday, August 30th at 11 p.m. So there you have it. June 14th is the day. So we got about 2 weeks till the window opens. Um Yeah, Richard was there already. June 14th. He was there before me, but I couldn't see the chat. Elias Saint Anthony is world class. Yeah, unfortunately he's not. I wish he was. He's world class at spinning around with the ball on his feet, that's for sure. But yeah, we got to see what happens with him too, you know what I mean? Because we got to see what happens with Anthony as well, because there was some talk that they might look to move him on. If you go by indications of anything of an Omar Barada, for example, who was our CEO, things that he said in the past when he was at Manchester City was, we bring in a player, they get about 1 to 2 seasons to prove if they can do it or not. If not, we cut them loose and we move on. So unfortunately, the problem with that is, and the difference between that is when Manchester City have recruited a player, they have had some ability to be able to remove them off of the squad. Manchester United struggle with this because we overpay way too high for players, so the loss would be way bigger than it probably should be. And also the wages that we give the players make it even harder for us to move the player on to another team because the player wants to retain their wages. The club buying them obviously is not the richest club in the world, and they are not stupid enough to pay the wages that we pay, so it makes doing the deal harder. So we might be stuck with Anthony for another season, whether we want to or not. We might not be able to move him on. Maybe they decide to keep him on for another season. If Eric Ten Hag's the manager, maybe he fights for Anthony to keep him. Um, yeah, the projected loss on Anthony is insane. It was just a bad deal. It was a stupid deal. It was a poor deal that the club made. Um and again, people will blame Eric Ten Hag, and you could probably give him a little bit of blame for being stubborn and pushing it through. But at the end of the day, he wanted that guy. He wanted him in June. We could have got it done. United, valued him, the scouts or whoever valued Anthony at around 30 million. They said 50 million was too expensive, and then the club paid 80 million. So, go figure how that works and how that was allowed to happen at the club. Doesn't make sense at all. You went from telling the manager that the player you want is only valued at 30 and paying 50 is too expensive, and then you shit yourself, you panicked, and you paid 85 million for him, and you gave him high wages. So it this is what I'm saying. We can no longer be doing stuff like that. And I don't think it's gonna happen on the INEOS because they are smart business people. And I think they do understand the game a little bit more. So we will see. I remember he almost didn't play this season due to the legal troubles. I mean, yeah, that would have been bad too. Um, that would have been bad too. That probably affected him a little bit too. I mean, it's never nice to have those kind of things. We don't know if it's true or not. At the time being, it seems like they're not true because there hasn't been really any follow up or update to it. You know what I mean? And it's kind of just gone away. So I don't know if that's been resolved actually or not. Um, but as a player, you don't want that outside noise going on when you're already struggling at the club. When you're struggling for performances, and then you got to deal with and accusations like that. And the publicity of that and stuff. So that hasn't helped his case either this season. So we'll see where we go with that. Um, now I gave you a sneak peek on the next one. We have, I think, one or two more things we got to bring in here. So, speaking of, legal troubles, uh, oh boy, we're lucky. We're lucky we don't have more viewers. I'd get in a lot of trouble. Uh, Atletico Madrid are emerging as favorites to sign Mason Greenwood. This is according to Graham Bailey. There was also an update. I forgot to throw it in here, but he was linked to Borussia Dortmund. Maybe like a day or two ago. There was an update coming out today that he will not be going to Borussia Dortmund. That is off, or that has been just talked down pretty much. But this update is interesting here. And then to follow up on that, this also comes in from Talk Sport saying that Manchester United want to activate the final year of Mason Greenwood's contract in order to preserve his value for a potential sale, which is the smart decision to do, probably the correct decision to do. You want to hold out for as long as possible. If he goes into his if he has less time available, there would be more of an argument to get a lower price for him because you're kind of in a losing power in terms of negotiation. If there's somebody out there that really wants him, instead of waiting 6 months or whatever it is, they might have to wait a year and a half or whatever. And if they really want him, they'll just go and pay the fee for him. So Rich is saying, "Oh, I like this story, a swap deal for João Felix." Well, the thing is, Ben Jacobs, who was on the United Stand this morning, he actually came out and said that swap deal story is a load of nonsense. He said that it's not gonna happen in terms of a swap deal. But the interest in Mason Greenwood from Atletico Madrid is definitely is definitely valid and definitely an option that is being looked at right now. Fred is in here. Fred, good to see you. Is this the Brazilian Fred that played for United? You want to scrap VAR? Yeah, scrap VAR. I'm with the two. I don't like VAR. If this is the Brazilian Fred, that played for United. I hope you're doing well. I hope your season went well. We could have used you this season. We could have used that energy in the midfield. We were very short. We had a huge injury crisis. But I hope you're doing well. If it's not the Brazilian Fred, I hope you're doing well anyway. Fred is saying youth players. I'm gonna butcher this guy's name, but Sekou Kaba, Musa, Mike Oxlong, and Finn McAllister look good, by the way. Well, okay, so here we go. So Kaba I'm not familiar with, right? What position does he play? Let me know. Musa I know. Mike Oxlong I haven't heard too much about, and Finn McAllister I've heard about and I know about him. So I'm 2 for 4 on here. What position does Mike Oxlong play for? I'm not one of these guys. Like, I love the youth. I don't watch too much of the youth. I do try and watch here and there every once in a while. But I know there are some fans out there that they absolutely, they'll watch anything and everything of Manchester United. All the women's games, all the youth games, under 18s, under 21s, U15s, whatever they could get their hands on, they'll watch it. There are some fans that are very, very in tune with every single player that's associated with Manchester United. I do like the youth, but I kind of tend to leave the youth alone, for the most part, up until a certain, until they're almost pretty much kind of knocking on the door or they're making some type of noise, because I get a little carried away, and I don't want to do that to myself. But yeah, if you could let me know what position Kaba plays and what position Oxlong plays. And I'll look in. I'm gonna look into them on my own time. Felix would thrive with Bruno, in my opinion, because Portugal, they have an understanding. I'm a little worried about the João Felix. I don't know how I would feel about João Felix, to be quite honest. I seen him when he went to Chelsea. I didn't think he was that good at Chelsea. He didn't look like he fit the league. Now I do understand it was Chelsea, and Chelsea's a mess. But we're also sort of a mess. I don't think he's done. I mean, he's probably done okay at Barca. Um, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know about João Felix, to be honest. He's just, there was a lot of hype for him from Benfica. I think he made the absolutely wrong decision in going to Atletico Madrid. I think he should have never went there. I think he should have went somewhere else. I think Madrid was the totally wrong decision for him. I think signing, what was it, a 7-year contract was the wrong decision for him. I think that's kind of hurt him. And I think he's pretty much struggled since that day. You know what I mean? So I don't know if I'm in favor of that. I wouldn't be like too over the moon. I mean, I'd give him the benefit of the doubt. I'd back him and support him, and I'd see what he gives us in the United shirt. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna like throw a rant about it. But I would be more excited about Olise coming than João Felix. That's how I'm kind of looking at it there. What are we saying here? Lai is saying we just signed a wonder kid, Silva Mexis from Ipswich. He is 14. Ooh, very interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Fred is saying Mike Oxlong, hard tackling midfielder. Okay, all right. All right. We need that. We need that. Hopefully he develops into something. I'm assuming he's still very young, probably like he's not 18, right? He's younger than that, 17 or 16 or something like that, maybe. Richard Hawkins saying, I can guarantee 100% Harry Amos will be involved in the first team next year. I think Harry Amos, yeah, I've heard a lot about him. I've seen him play a little bit. I think he could probably get in there. There's some talks about Toby Collier as well. Seems like there might be some sort of plan for him to try and break through next season as well. So we have to wait and see. But if Eric Ten Hag is our manager, I do expect another 1 or 2 at least minimum. If not more players to come through, play some minutes, be involved in the first team. Even Ethan Wheatley, he already got a couple cameos. He's been doing exceptionally well. In the what is he in the under 21s? He's been scoring some goals, important matches as well for the youth team. And he already had a couple cameos for us, so I think he might be potentially one there too. And we could probably use him. I do have to say though, when I seen him come on the first team, you could kind of see the difference in, I don't want to say quality, but just he is still young. He does still probably need a little bit more development. But I think maybe he can get in there at some point. Maybe not straight away, maybe a little bit down further into the season, but yeah. We can see and we will see, and hopefully we do, because I love when our youth players come through. It's exciting to watch them. It's exciting to see what they do when they get into the first team. Makes you feel even more proud about the club, you know what I mean? So because they're one of our own. And we are producing these players, and that's Manchester United's history. So the more the better. Especially because there was a period that we weren't really doing all this, or our youth products weren't looking so great, or the youth academy kind of seemed like it died down a little bit, but it just certainly picked back up after being revamped over the past couple of years. So good to see at least United again something right in some term aspect, right? Lyle was saying about João Felix that the Aleti move was decent, I think, but the price tag destroyed him. Yeah, the price tag didn't help either, but for me, for me, I don't think it was a good move because I just don't think the way João Felix plays, his style of play, even the way Benfica play, right? Compared to the way Atletico Madrid play, totally different. And I just think the style of Atletico Madrid did not fit him, so it did not benefit his style of play. Kind of hurt his performances as well. And that's just because he just doesn't fit the style of Atleti. You know, Atletico, they have like 30% possession a game. They don't have possession. They're not the most attacking. They're very counter attacking. I think Zhao, like Benfica was playing at that time, very attacking, high pressing, very confident, high line team. He was flourishing there. So that's why I think, but now, it's been a couple years down the line. It's a different story. He's been affected by a couple different things. So I kind of worry about that, but I don't think it'll happen, but if it does, it does. Richard saying Toby is also a very good player, and Wheatley I would like to see in the Carabao Cup. Yeah, we need to get these we need to get them some minutes in some cups like that in the Carabao and stuff like that. Fred saying Wheatley is good. Mo Lester and Mike Oxmel's grim in the under 18 setup look promising too. Rather use youth than sign expensive prima donnas. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, I said the other day on social media, the more youth products that we can push through, the better, because it helps the club in terms of not only personnel but also financially. It helps us all around. If we can get if there's a youth product there that has the quality and the potential, and they world class hard tackling CDM or something like that, ball winner, right? That's 60 million, 70 million, 80 million, whatever less that we got to spend out of the total transfer budget to get one of those players. We already have one of those players. Now we could use that budget to go get somebody else in a position that we might not have the best of the best in the youth team and that we need in the first team immediately. The only thing is that, again, these players are young. And while everybody does love the youth, we have to remember to be we have to be careful with the youth. Even for people like Garnacho and Manu, while they've had excellent seasons, while they've been pivotal at times throughout this season, and they've scored important goals or had important performances for us throughout this season, you still have to be careful with them because they are young. You have to manage their minutes correctly. You don't want to burn them out. They did play a lot of minutes. And the thing is, like, yeah, I understand, they're young and they should be able to run and they should have loads of energy. But the problem is, you don't want to burn them out by the time they're 26, 27, and their fucking legs are gone because we played them 10,000 minutes a season for 7 seasons in a row. And now they're like 26 and they're pretty much just burnt to a crisp basically. So a good balance, a good moderation is always good. And again, we have to remember some of them are kids. I mean, the way Manu and Garnacho carry themselves for their age is very unusual in terms of people that age. They Garnacho already has a baby. Garnacho already has a kid. And a lot of people in the world might argue like, and technically he's still a kid. He's a kid that has a kid. So in terms of age, he's a kid, but in terms of like life, he's a little bit more older than just a kid. You know what I mean? I don't know how many, especially in the football world too. I don't know how many like 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds are having a baby. There's some players on the team that they're 25, 26 and they ain't having a baby. They're a little bit different. Manu is, you could tell he's very mature for his age. He's calm, he's composed. He seems like he's a very intelligent guy. The way he carries himself. So, Rooney shag nanny's nanny. The wait, did he really though? Are we spreading? Is this the Sun? Are we doing Sun stories? Is that true? I never heard that. Is that true? I never heard that. Um, but Jesus, I've heard some other stories with Rooney. By the way, Rooney, like one of my favorite players of all time in Manchester United, love him. Um, but I never heard that one, so I don't know. I can still remember Rooney's first game for United. Yeah, Sadiq is in here. Sadiq, when'd you get in here? Good to see you, Sadiq. Yeah, what a first match it was, right? Right, Sadiq? Oh, and I skipped the comment here or somewhere. Um, yeah, so Richard is talking about this and he's saying, Feeling was on TalkSport today and he said if Wayne phones him, he will be number 2 at Plymouth. Well, on top of that, Richard, the thing that you did not mention is that Mike Phelan was asked if he thinks Erik ten Hag deserves to stay on as manager, and Mike Phelan said that he does not think that Erik ten Hag deserves to stay as manager, and he thinks that Erik ten Hag should get sacked and lose his job. So I'm not very happy with Mike Phelan today. I had a choice of words for Mike Phelan that I refrained from saying because they are not nice words. And I don't want to go down that path. I was feeling fairly positive, and I want to remain in that sphere for today. So Richard saying it happened to me, Eric. If I had been managed well, I could have went on till 60, but I had to go at 59. I mean, listen, that's what happens. It happens to the best of us. I haven't managed myself well. That's my problem. I'm 30, and I sometimes wake up and I feel like, well, I'm about to be 30, right? I haven't gotten there yet. I got a couple more months, but I sometimes feel like I'm 55. And I'm working on it, but I'm like, geez, what am I gonna do when I'm Rich's age, man? I'm gonna be out of commission. Be out of commission, dude. There's no chance for me. I'm trying to, I'm not out of shape or nothing. I'm not out of shape, you know what I mean? I'm not out of shape or nothing like that. I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I gotta do some more stretching or something. Sometimes I feel very stiff, like my legs start hurting. I feel like an old man sometimes, and I'm like, dude, I'm not there yet. I can't be there yet. He did say that, yeah. Sadiq saying I would give Erik ten Hag more. Mike works with the English media pushing Erik out of United. I mean, listen, Mike has his own opinions. He's allowed to say what he wants. It's just how it goes. But, again, if I was there, I would have had some pushback from Mike and I would have had him go a little bit more into depth and give us a little bit fairly, a more in-depth answer as to why, other than just saying, no, I don't think he should be manager. Give us some reasons, give us some thoughts, explain to us why. Let's hear a real argument out of you, Eric at 55, Liza saying Eric at 55 live streaming to millions. Unable to move. I'll be on crutches by then. I'll be on crutches by then. But we would hope, that would be awesome. Imagine that at 55 and we're streaming to millions. I would probably cry at some point, because that would be awesome. That means that we're living the dream. That means that we did our job, and that means that we built a fantastic community. So you never know. Sky's the limit. We'll see where it takes us. We're on the path. We're on the road, and we'll find out. And Richard's saying I'm well out of shape, but it's the beer. It's the beer. My belly, the Titanic would sing. Yeah. All right, we got a little sidetracked, so let's get back to the show before we go way too long, because, we gotta get this on the road. and I got some things to do. But as much as I love you talking to you guys, but all right. So the update on Ten Hag follows as Ben Jacobs, of course, on the United stand this morning, earlier in the morning. So he came first. He said clarity on Erik Ten Hag's Manchester United future is expected before the end of the week, potentially today or tomorrow. So this was the update we initially received. This was early in the morning. Ben Jacobs, again, on the United stand, very credible journalist. Good guy. He's fairly fair. You know what I mean? Doesn't try to be biased. Reports the news. Does his job. I like him. Then we had this that came out just before we went live, which was from James Ducker in the Telegraph, another very credible journalist. Telegraph is a very credible outlet, one of the most credible outlets. Some might argue that they are probably the best in England. They're very highly rated and very respected. He came out and said Manchester United are taking their time over the future of Erik Ten Hag, with no decision expected on the manager this week. So, again, a couple things being said. One going against the other. And essentially almost canceling each other out. So, I was going into this show in my head, preparing to talk to you guys about, how we might be getting an announcement tomorrow and that we might be going live tomorrow, to talk about that and stuff like that. But then, we did receive this update, saying that there is no decision expected on the manager this week. So it seems like that it might now be coming next week, and not tomorrow. Again, nobody really knows. And, I think this is what I'm saying. Like, no decision has been made. I think there's a lot of speculation going on. I think there's a lot of opinionated, heavily opinionated opinions, right, out there. I think there's some people, they want him sacked, and then, they're going full throttle on that. There's a lot of people that want him to stay. They're going full throttle of that. A lot of assumptions are being made. I just don't think a decision has been made yet. I think when the decision is made, I think we'll find out. You know what I mean? I think it'll be known, for sure, 110%. Sadiq saying we could buy Tosin and Tadibo for the same price as Branthwaite. We absolutely can. Well, Tadibo, Tosin is free, right? So, Tosin is free. So Tadibo, we could actually get to Tosin and Tadibo for cheaper than Branthwaite. Because Everton wants 75 million for Branthwaite. United are looking to pay 50, 55 million, maybe 60, and maybe even 65. But I think 65 is still high for them. But yeah, you could get two players in Tosin and Tadibo. Tadibo would probably go for 35, 40 million, to keep it fair. So we don't get accused of cheating and whatnot, with finances and all that, because of the fact that Sir Jim owns Nice and shit like that. But yeah, you are getting two players for basically almost half the price, or at least the asking price of one player, right? It would probably be maybe 20 million less. Again, and then you would have to compare the qualities and determine, how important is that 20 million? Is that worth the 20 million? But yeah. I see what you're saying there, and definitely we could do that. And, if we do that, the extra money we save, 20, 30 million, whatever it would be, that obviously goes to a next player and can benefit the squad. You know what I mean? So, a lot of options here that United could take, and we just have to try and hope that, INEOS take the best and correct decisions going forward, and let's see what they do. So, another follow-up on this. From James Ducker in the Telegraph said that United launched a season review this week and want to ensure they carry out a full assessment and work carefully through all considerations before making a judgment on Ten Hag. There is recognition that United have a big decision to make either way, and they want to be sure they have left no stone unturned. And this is where, oh my God, I don't know what I just did. And this is where you saw nothing. Gremlins, these damn gremlins. They're just messing everything up today. So this is where I was saying, right? This is where I was saying that, you know, this is where I was saying that I believe that, you know, whoa, we on the here. This is where I was saying, again, I'm going to say it again, sorry, because I keep losing my track, that I don't think a decision has been made. And this is where this statement here from James Ducker in the Telegraph, this is kind of where I'm sitting. Like, I'm not trying to go extreme. That was a lot of forehead. Red card. The Gremlins. It's the Gremlins, Lyle. It's the Gremlin. They're messing with my show. But this is what I'm saying here, you know, like there has been so much stuff that's been reported that he was sacked already. They made the decision. The decision is made. They're going to announce the decision after the FA Cup. Then they changed it to, you know, they're pushing it down the line because United won the cup and he's still going to be sacked because the decision was already made. And, you know, Axe Lord is here. It's good to see you. But I am in the fair belief of this right here, that they said they were going to do a season review. They launched it this week. They're taking their time to carry out a full assessment and work carefully through all considerations and before they make a judgment and a decision. To me, that seems like the most logical. It's the most logical, it's the most level-headed, it's the one that makes the most sense, is that they said that they were going to do a review. They are doing the review. There's nothing like cynical really going on. They're taking their time, and they're looking at everything possible, and, you know, they're evaluating everything, and their opinions, and they're taking everything into consideration, right? And then they will make an informed decision. Once they are 100% sure of what they want to do, right? I don't know why the world has gone into an absolute madness where it has to be green or it has to be red. I don't understand why the world is like this right now. It's either green or red. It's like there's no in between. It's like your opinion, you can't have and in between. It's like you're forced to pick one side or the other. And that's what I see a lot on social media. It's like Ten Hag in, Ten Hag out. And then I was like, but why are we not using common sense? Why are we not using common sense? It's just everybody's arguing with each other. They're attacking each other because one guy's saying he's already sacked and the other guy's saying, no, they're definitely keeping him 100%. The decision's already made. They would have sacked him already. You're a moron. You're an idiot. And then, you know, and it's just like, dude, why are we picking and choosing what to believe from the media? In terms of the fact that, you know, this was the thing that was reported first. That's what I'm going to keep saying, and that's what keeps sticking out to me. What was reported first, the first time ever that anything was ever mentioned about the manager being replaced, was that Manchester United will conduct an end of season review when the season is over. That is what I take from that. Everything that came after that, to me, is pure speculation and narrative driven by the media because INEOS have stayed silent and have not made statements, which lets the speculation grow. Now, they could think that that was the best possible way to handle it based on the fact that they didn't know what decision they were actually going to make, and they didn't want to make one statement and then make a decision that goes against the statement. So maybe they figured that they would rather stay silent, right? But you know, for me, at the end of the day, some people don't like this current situation that's going on. They don't like the fact that there is a review. They don't like the fact that his job might be up in the air. I am not totally 100% against the actual review. I think a review is normal. I think a review is appropriate. You know, in the business sector, in you know, if you work in a high-end business, stocks, something like that. I have a couple friends that work in that sector. And every year, you know, even if they do the greatest job ever, everybody's position, right? Everybody's position in the company, their job gets reviewed at the end of the year. You get a performance review. You sit down, you talk with your boss about the performance and whatever. You have a conversation. You know, company-wide emails go out to all employees saying that there is a review of your year. There will be people that are going to be let go after this review, and you will be notified if you are one of those people. Everybody at the company knows that their job is up in the air. They still work there. They still have to go in. They still have to perform their job, and at the same time, the company does go ahead and they do talk to candidates to replace the people that they plan on firing to bring in new workers so that the workflow continues in a nice ease. You know, if you're doing the firing while you're doing the hiring, it's almost like a simultaneous thing. It almost allows like zero interruption. It's way quicker, way faster, and it's just a seamless transition. So I'm not necessarily against the review. I'm not necessarily against the process. I just think personally the best decision would be to keep him. I think, you know, I don't know what like how much of a criteria they're looking at when they're doing the review. Supposedly it's supposed to be for his whole time here. I don't know, you know, every little detail and every little aspect, but from my opinion, I would go with that. Axelord's here, Axelord. Legends of the chat are rolling in and raising here. Good to see you. Hope everybody's doing well. You know, I'm gonna catch you guys up a little bit. So we were talking about Olise here. Obviously, you can see on the screen. Olise is interested in coming to Manchester United. Ben Jacobs giving us a little bit of an update saying, you know, United and Chelsea are two clubs interested. If he was to pick one, Manchester United is the favorite. So it seems like United are in the favorite in terms of that position. Obviously, we have to wait and see if the club do go ahead and make a deal for him. We were talking about Erik ten Hag, future update. Doesn't seem like we're gonna get an update until maybe next week. There was a report this morning saying that we would get an update possibly by tomorrow. James Ducker in the Telegraph has come out today before we went live and said that we are not going to get that update this week, and it will most likely and have to be next week. Lyle saying divide and conquer. They trying to break up the biggest fan base in the world, football. Yeah, the media is trying to stir the fucking pot. That's what they're doing. They're trying to stir shit up for clicks and views and you know, interaction and you know, the more that they could make things hyperbolic. This is why I don't like the media anyway. This is why I don't like the news, because they play a game with the people, with their customers. In fact, you know, the people that they write the articles for to read. They purposely, you know, these people write one thing, these people write another thing. They've now had two different sides. They're about to create a high tension atmosphere that's going to go head to head. And then anytime they put something out, you know, all the attention's on it. They're just gonna get click, interaction. So you know, it is what it is. Axel is saying green or red. Who will take the Iron Throne? Season 2 coming soon. Yeah. House of Dragons, right? Yeah. That should be good. That should be good. That should be good. I'm waiting for that. June 16th, yeah? Well, I'll be watching that on vacation, or at least on the plane or whatever. So you know, Axel was saying, I'm telling you what should they review? The lack of psychologists, the lack of physical preparation specialists, the medical staff, and the fucking roof. Yeah, absolutely. I think they should definitely be reviewing the roof. The roof is like number one thing that needs to be reviewed because there's holes in it. Um, you know, you could have rowed a boat down the stairs that the match against Arsenal. There was a fucking river coming down. It was crazy. You know what I mean? But absolutely, and this is what I was saying before. This is what I was saying before. You know, like the only thing that bothers me a little bit is like, dude, I understand for the review, but come on, let's get on with it. There's so much other shit. Like pretty much everything Axe has literally just stated on top of player recruitment. All those things to me are way more important than the manager. Especially if INEOS are looking at a guy like they wanted McKenna or something like that, right? They just want the manager to be a coach. All right, so let Erik ten Hag just be the coach, and then why don't you fix everything else in the meantime? So if the manager is so insignificant, why do you have to review his position like the way you are anyway? You know, there's arguments for both ways, but I guess it depends how you see it. Lyle saying United have always been the talk of the town. It blew up this season. I mean, the Erik ten Hag story was bigger than City winning 4 in a row. Everything was bigger than City winning 4 in a row. You know, what an embarrassment that is. You win 4 in a row, nobody even really gives a shit. And I don't know how many of you on social media, I don't know how many of you guys see these things, but you know, on City's social media, not that I follow them, but some people were reposting it or whatever, and people were making fun of them. They have no self-shame. They were literally putting up pictures edited with, you know, fake confetti, right? Like they added extra confetti to the picture, so you can't see the background, so you can't see that there's no fucking people at the parade. They were taking pictures at weird angles that you can't see the crowd. They were like very up close. You couldn't see what was really going on in the background. They had like a video camera that was like catching shots at weird angles. It wasn't showing like the entire picture. I mean, they're just an embarrassment because they know, you know, as much as they win, they're not a big club. They're not respected as one, and they will never be. They could buy the Premier Leagues. They could buy the trophies, but they can't buy the respect, and they can't buy the fan base, and they can't buy the history. So, but that's enough of them, because we're not going to talk about them. But, where are we? Lyle saying, oh, no, I read that out. Ray saying, they should announce it and get it over with and start to get the players in and out. Every story about United always bigger. That was sales. Yeah, I mean, they do. I don't think they're going to do it today. Well, they're definitely not doing it today. I don't think they're going to do it tomorrow. And I would expect it based off of this update from James Ducker, because he is very credible. Telegraph is very credible. And I guess if I'm going to listen to somebody, this is a very level-headed thing to say. You know, it's not hyperbolic in any way. He's basically just stating the facts that are there. And he's not trying to push an opinion on anybody. And these are the things that I kind of look for, and the things that I respect from somebody that works in journalism and the media. You know, he's literally just telling you that there is a season review. They are taking their time. They're making considerations. And he doesn't believe that this decision will happen this week, and it'll most likely happen next week. So, you know, it is what it is. And we'll see where we go on from there. Do we have anything? Oh, yes. So, other news that came in here was that Benny McCarthy is set to leave Manchester United after not being offered a new contract by the club. Which is led to some people believing that Erik ten Hag is going, because they're saying Benny McCarthy is part of his coaching staff, so they're not rehire. They're not offering McCarthy a new contract, so they're gonna fire Ten Hag because why would they keep McCarthy if they're gonna get rid of Ten Hag? Again, pure speculation. Um, I think Benny McCarthy was there to work with the forwards, with the strikers. Again, INEOS have been doing reviews of multiple different aspects of the club, and as much as I love Benny McCarthy, if I am not mistaken, and I'm not being completely 110% wrong here, he is supposed to be like the attacking coach or working with the forwards and stuff like that. Now I think with Rashford last year did an excellent job and Rashford was very good. Obviously this year, very shit, but that's only so much. That's only so much he could do with that. The rest is all Rashford. Rasmus I think had a pretty good, decent season, 16 goals. Um, but we have struggled to score goals. The past 2 seasons. So, um, yeah, I know it's the mirror. The mirror isn't like the worst thing in the world. But I think there was a couple other outlets that reported this as well, if I'm not mistaken, or another journalist or something. Um, we actually had to look at the journalist. I didn't get to look at the journalist, but yeah. And to follow up on that, Benny McCarthy did make some statements. And for whatever reason, he did decide that he wanted to speak on Eric Ten Hag and Jadon Sancho. Um, so he did say that I spoke to the manager. I told him that Jaden thinks that if he apologizes, he will never be seen as someone who doesn't train hard, and that everything he has been that has been said against him was true. The manager said all he wanted was an apology. He then went on to say, the manager has a strong character. Jaden thought he was not at fault, that he had done nothing wrong. He didn't see why he had to apologize. Uh, Sometimes you must apologize because a player will never win against a manager. Wise words from Benny McCarthy there at the end. And again, I still blame. I don't give a shit. Jadon Santos should have apologized, right or wrong. At the end of the day, Eric Ten Hag is your boss. If you cared about the fans, if you cared about about playing for the club, and it wasn't all about you, you should have just, you know, sometimes you just gotta swallow the pill, suck it up, apologize, and move on. But he couldn't even do that much. So, it is what it is. Um, And then I think the last piece of that, because I don't want to talk too much about Jaden. Jaden should be sold, and that's it. And the last piece that we're gonna come up to here on this, and then we have a couple miscellaneous things that we'll include, and then it'll probably be a free for all. Is this came from Fabrizio Romano earlier in the morning, saying if Manchester United decide to sack Eric Ten Hag, following the internal review, Thomas Tuchel would be one of the names in their shortlist. He's very keen to return to the Premier League. As we all know, at this point, Thomas Tuchel is essentially begging for a damn job. Thomas Tuchel is absolutely desperate for this job. I don't think Thomas Tuchel will be employed if he doesn't get this Manchester United job. He's obviously clearly been pushing for this job for quite some time now. He wants the job. He wants to come back to England. I think he does feel like he does have some unfinished business in the Premier League for the way that he was sacked at Chelsea. Um, I think he wanted to stay at Chelsea. Obviously, I think he was he's felt like he was unfairly done there. And I think he wants to come back. I don't want him. In terms of over Eric Ten Hag, I'd rather just keep Eric Ten Hag. Um, he is not one of my favorite. Let's put it this way: by the top 5 list, um, for candidates that I would take to replace Eric Ten Hag, he is not in the top 5 of that list. Um, so again, I wouldn't want Eric. I wouldn't want Thomas Tuchel. I want Eric Ten Hag. And to be quite honest, I don't even think that he fits necessarily what INEOS are looking for. Thomas Tuchel doesn't last very long at the clubs that he's been. I think Thomas Tuchel would come in, he would probably have a good season. The first season, second season probably wouldn't go so well, and we'd be looking at the sack. Um, so Lyle's upset about Benny McCarthy. I'm a little upset too. He's a good guy, but yeah, if it's not happening, maybe we need a better coach. You know, in terms of the attacking display, we have been sort of struggling to score goals here and there. Especially the first season on Ten Hag, because we did very well defensively. But the scoring was troublesome, and I know that the personnel wasn't there, but still, there's a certain limit to that. There's a certain limit to that. Um, Ray saying they should fix all the areas around the manager first, then see what happens. That medical department, recruitment, etc. Um, yeah, they should, and maybe that's something they're considering. We also have to need to know, obviously Eric wants to stay, but obviously they want to have more control over what's going on. And they don't want him to have the power that United initially gave him the contract, where he essentially has like a veto. Um, I think his veto is like totality veto, because I think vetoes is fairly common. But I think his veto is like the be all and end all veto. From how it was signed in his contract, and I think they want him to have a little bit less power. Now, if he's willing to agree to that and have a little bit less power and just be a little bit more like a coach, right? Obviously, I still think he's gonna have a say in the player. I just think that they're gonna do the scouting based, and they're gonna make a short list of players based on the style of play, not necessarily what he wants, and then he's gonna have to pick out of a list of one to three players for the position. And then they take his input into consideration. Um, you know, if he's okay with that, then I don't see what is the real big issue in just keeping him there. While they figure out you know how to uh how to fix everything else that's going on at the club. Some of the shit doesn't really make sense. It's like why are they so worried about Ten Hag and his performance when they were looking at somebody like McKenna, who's totally unproven, or they were even considering Potter or Gareth Southgate. I mean, Potter and Southgate and Thomas Frank are fucking jokes compared to Eric Ten Hag. So the review itself almost kind of doesn't make sense in that aspect. It's like, what are they actually reviewing though? Are they reviewing the performance? Because you have three managers on a list that are not better than him. Not even if Ten Hag was blind and deaf, they're not better than him. So it's like, what are you actually reviewing? I don't think it's solely just on like, oh, he finished eighth, review his performance. I think they're reviewing like his mannerisms, the way he acts, how he's handled situations in the club, how he's handled situations with players. I think they're looking at a lot of that shit and a lot of detail and very, very fine detail. But again, they need to make this decision and move on, because there are a lot of more important things that need to be taken care of. Lyle saying Tuchel would be massive mistake, no lie. Chelsea did him dirty, and so did Bayern. But I do not trust him with United. Yeah, I don't think I'm not confident in that. So I'm in that hiring. I wouldn't be confident in him. Um, and I just never really liked him ever. I thought he was all right manager. I think he was doing pretty good at Chelsea. Uh, but yeah, I never saw him as like a special guy. Uh, you know, like some do. There's a lot of United fans that are desperate for Tuchel. Um, they actually live up his ass, which is quite concerning because it's like, dude, you're supposed to be a United fan. And you're over here ripping a fucking two shell picture on your profile. Your name is like two shell something, like two shell time or some bullshit. And all you do is push two shell propaganda on social media. It's like, dude, what are you? You know what I mean? Like, what are you, a bot? Yeah, are you even a human being, or am I interacting with a bot? Like, what is going on here? Um, Richard saying, I still think they want their man in there. Uh, yeah, there's a part of me that does think that too, but um, I think maybe some of the fan backlash and fan reaction has kind of put them in a hard spot on that as well. You know what I mean? They might want their man, but at the same time, whether people like it or not, and everybody, I've had a lot of arguments this week on social media about people saying that, the fan opinion when it comes to this stuff, um, these people should not be listening to the fans, and they should not be paying attention to the fans when they're making decisions like this. And whether those people like it or not, and whether they should or not, they do. Fan opinion is always considered, and it is a factor in some aspect, Um, and at the end of the day, INEOS, they do want the fans on their side. They are definitely concerned about that. They need to get shit right. If they get shit wrong, and things start to go really wrong, they're gonna lose the fans, and it's gonna be bad for them. And they don't want that. So, I think the fan input has had some putback on that. While they do want their own guy, they might just come to the decision and be like, listen, it's not the right time for this. Not the right environment. It's not the right time for us to be to be doing this. We're gonna lose the fans. The fans are gonna turn their back on us. It's gonna lead the club to being maybe a bigger mess. Um, X Lord saying this club has been destroying managers ever since Alex Ferguson left. Why would they bring on a conflict prone manager like Tuchel? Well, that's the thing. And this is why I don't understand the links either necessarily, because it's like they do report one thing in saying that, like, well, they want a guy that's more like a coach and not really a manager. They want somebody that is gonna look to be, just focus more on coaching the team instead of being involved in what's going on up above, and like the recruitment side of things and stuff like that, which is kind of like what Bayern Munich are doing, right? Bayern Munich went and they got Vincent Company, even though he just got relegated, because Vincent Company per se isn't like a bad coach, right? I think he's a good coach. I don't know how far he could take you, but in terms of like ideas, attacking style of play, or just coaching a player, I think he's pretty decent. You know what I mean? At the same time, Vincent Company ain't walking into the fucking board of directors or whoever it is at Bayern Munich and telling them, "Hey, you need to go get me this fucking player right now." He's not doing that. Bayern are gonna buy who Bayern want to buy, and then they're gonna come up with a list of players that they want, and they're gonna ask Company for his opinion, right? And he might pick a player and then might be like, all right, well, the manager wants this guy, but everybody else has decided on this guy, so we're going to go for this guy, get that guy, and they're going to give him that guy and then be like, coach him. Coach him and fit him in the team. Um, and that's what was reported that INEOS are kind of trying to look to do, that they want somebody like that is really just focused on coaching. So if that's the truth, why would you sack Eric Ten Hag to get a manager like Tuchel? It's one of the reasons why Tuchel was let go from Bayern. Because he wanted more influence. They didn't want to give him that influence, and he said, "Well, then fuck it, I'm leaving." And then they were like, "Fine." So it's a little weird there. Eric Ten Hag has the passion for the club, and they will get us up there. Well, I think a lot of people are. I don't know why, but a lot of people keep forgetting about the first season, and they only want to look at the this season that just passed. And like, I see a lot of people saying like, if he stays when we finish in ninth, it'll be your fault or whatever. And I'm like, dude, just because we finished in 8th this season, it doesn't mean that we're gonna finish like 9th or 10th. Um, Again, we had certain circumstances going on. Number one fact is that we had a couple off-field issues with players, um, dealing with shit, so they weren't up to their best or they weren't available. Then we had injuries. You know what I mean? Like, again, I don't know why all these people are choosing to ignore the injuries. When Liverpool had their injuries, look where they finished the season before this season. They ended up in fucking Europa League. Has Liverpool ever been close to Europa League? Under Klopp, except for maybe like the first. Not, I don't even think the first year that he came or whatever. Um, but they ended up in Europa League because they had an extensive amount of injuries and they suffered from it. And then they went into next season, which was this season. They didn't suffer that amount of injuries. They had injuries. Everybody has injuries, but it's about the amount of injuries and the length of injuries. And it wasn't like they did last season. They did far better. So Lyle's saying all I want to see is Eric Ten Hag does under a proper football structure. That alone is a juicy prospect. Well, yeah, let's see if we even have a proper football structure first. So I'm saying they're reviewing the manager. We don't even know how good they are. They didn't even really get started yet. You know what I mean? Let's see what you got, INEOS. Let's see what you do. Let's see how well you can back the manager. Let's see how well you can help the manager and create an environment for him to succeed. Let's see that first. How about that? That's what I think a lot of us are saying too. It's like, how about you create an environment for the manager to succeed first before fucking sacking him and saying, whatever, he wasn't good enough or he isn't the one. How can you say that when you yourselves, so Jim Ratcliffe included, literally said word for word that the environment for the managers to succeed has not been there for years. Okay, so why would you sack him then? It doesn't. A lot of this shit doesn't make sense. It doesn't. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. There's too much noise and none of it makes sense. Yeah, and Liverpool had the most days at number one this season. I seriously thought they were gonna take it all. Ahmad destroyed them. Ahmad ended it for Kloppy. Poor Kloppy is rode off into the sunset with a fucking Carabao Cup. Richard saying, well, I say this in 89 and 90. We won the FA Cup and we finished 8th. The manager was Alex Ferguson. Yeah. Yeah. But this is what I'm saying. This is why I want them to give him another year because I really do feel like, if we do move on from this guy, I don't know why, but I just keep picturing the scenario that like they get rid of Ten Hag goes somewhere else, he ends up doing well or decently well, probably ends up winning a trophy or two or something like that. And I'm looking at our team with whatever fucking manager they decide to bring in, and we end up the season with no trophies, probably not in a good position. And I'm just like, look what we fucking did. We had the guy there and we let him go. And he went on to win things, and we're back in the same position again, just fucking going around in a circle. So, and here's the miscellaneous stuff. Quick little 3 things. So, Manchester United went around 50 million for Casemiro. But Saudi clubs who, contrary to popular belief, don't go crazy with transfer fees are looking towards 30 million plus add-ons. This is from Ben Jacobs again on the United Stand early this morning. So he's saying that they don't go crazy with transfer fees. I mean, they're paying some ridiculous fees for players. They're giving them some ridiculous wages, some ridiculous perks. I think the Saudi clubs are smart to a certain extent. I think the Saudi clubs are trying to test to see United, because obviously United's been known to do very poor and stupid deals. And I think they're trying to test the waters here to see, what they could get away with. Um, I still feel like maybe 30 million's a little bit low, especially, from a Saudi club. We know you got the money. We know you have the money. Don't be holding out on us. We need the money. Um, but again, if United want 50 and they're looking to pay 30 plus add-ons, we could probably get maybe 40. Maybe 40, maybe 45. Um, I don't think that's necessarily bad, 40 or 45 for Casemiro. You take that plus his wages off of the books, it should put us in a way better financial position as well. The other update to follow this is Manchester United are interested in Lille centre back Lenny Yoro. This is by Rob Dawson, ESPN. I know we had one or two people in here mention Yoro before, and there you go. Your guy has been linked, at least by Rob Dawson, ESPN. There wasn't really anything that followed up too much on this. It was just really this statement. That we are interested. I mean, we're interested in who are we not interested in? But let's see if this pans out. Young guy, looks very, very promising. And let's see. Let's see. Maybe he's certainly an option, And then this one from Miguel Delaney, who, by the way, this guy blocked me on Twitter, so I couldn't even necessarily see he posted this, but I got it from somewhere else. But this guy, Miguel Delaney, is I don't want to be like this, but this guy is a snowflake, and he has me blocked on one account. Now, I have 3 other accounts, so it does him no good, but he blocked me on one account, and I'll tell you exactly why he blocked me on one account if you want to know. But he said Manchester United are considering a move for Chelsea centre back Trevor Chalobah. He would cost 25 million. I don't even know if I want this guy, to be honest. I don't want no more people from Chelsea and shit like that. I don't want no more people from Chelsea, to be honest. I don't want to do any more deals with Chelsea. No. Stop giving money to Chelsea. Let Chelsea go and spend their fucking money on some 18-year-old kid that nobody ever heard of, or I don't even know. I'm not about it. I'm not about it. Rich is saying we will never get him, but he is a great player. Are you talking about Euro? Lila saying Euro is exciting. We need a proper left back so that we leave Delo and Aaron Wan-Bissaka competing for right back like last season. Well, Aaron Wan-Bissaka might be sold. There was some talks that United are open to listening for offers for Wan-Bissaka, so it would be Delo and potentially a replacement right back. Again, if we could, if it's possible, I would very much like. I would sell Wan-Bissaka, and if you could get Frimpong, I would get Frimpong. If Frimpong is available for what, 35 million, I think his buyout clause is. Obviously there's going to be a lot of clubs interested in him. 35 million is not expensive, so pretty much any club can pay that. So it would really be a high competition. It would pretty much be up to him. But I really like Frimpong. And I think he would be a good buy. Lyle's saying selling Aaron Wan-Bissaka would be a mistake. Well, I sort of disagree. For the fact that while he is a very good defender in terms of when it comes to defense, slide tackling, pretty much pocketing players. I mean, the way he pocketed, or he held his own against Doku, you know what I mean? Like, when he does that, he's very, very effective. He's very, very good. That only helps Axel is leaving us. See you, Axel. Thank you for being here. Good to see you. We'll be back either tomorrow or later on in the week. I'll try and schedule something for you guys. I'll let you know. But good to see you, and make sure you smash the like button if you didn't on your way out. So Wan-Bissaka, the way he played, when we played City in the FA Cup final, was very good. That aspect of his game is good. His problem is going forward. Not good. Not that good. Or not good enough. We could do definitely better. And also I think that is important to our style of play. I think Delo is pretty good at it. But even so, I think, I still want more from Delo going forward. So I think, like, even going forward, I think Frimpong is might be better than Delo in that aspect of going forward. And if we're going to play that style of football, for me, Wan-Bissaka doesn't fit that style of play. Wan-Bissaka plays for a team that is not trying to play the high line, attacking inverted wingbacks and all that good stuff. You know what I mean? So I think, I would move Wan-Bissaka on in terms of if that's the style of football we're looking to play. I think Wan-Bissaka is very good for a team that plays counterattack, a little bit more defensive, or a little bit more traditional defense, where a right back is a defensive right back first. And doesn't need to get up so far up the pitch and really be a creative. But at the top of the top, the top teams, the right backs and left backs gotta essentially be almost defensive wingers nowadays. So that's what I'm saying, Richard. Richard's there with me on this. Is that he was great in the FA Cup, but he is an old fashioned right back, and he's like a very stand up, old fashioned right back, can put in a tackle for you, But when he goes forward, he is mostly kind of a disaster, and we just need somebody better than that, if we're gonna go and try and match the best style of attacking football in today's game. So, but we, we'll see. There was just rumors, but I don't want Chalaba. I'd rather just take any of the other guys that were literally, linked with us, for sure. They're just saying his cross always always lets AWB down. Yeah, like you're saying Wan-Bissaka's crosses let him down? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, he just doesn't seem comfortable playing in there, though. It's like, because then you have to switch it up. Like, I don't know, like, I don't know. Like, because even in the match, right, when we did go forward, right, there was times where he had the ball, and he's like, sometimes he's like Bambi when Bambi's on ice. He gets a little lost at the ball, and I get a little nervous because I'm like, this guy's gonna dribble into somebody, lose the ball. They're gonna counterattack the shit out of us because we're high up the pitch. And I'm like, ah, shit. But yeah, I would still probably look for a more progressive wing back. But we need a lot of positions, so I don't know what's gonna happen, because technically we also do need a left back. You know what I mean? We do need a left back as well. So I don't know. Let's sit here and think for a second and try and use our brain. So in actuality, in not order priority or anything like that, just I would argue we need a right back, a left back, 2 center backs, 4, a CDM, that's 5. We need a striker, that's 6. If we could take if we could get what we needed, we'd probably go for another winger. That's 7. We're looking at like almost 7 players for about like 6 different positions. That is a lot to do. Obviously some are more important than others. Like we definitely need the center back, we definitely need the CDM, and we definitely need the striker. I think those are the top 3. And then Lyle's saying the left back is more important for now than the right back. Yeah, probably solely because of the fact of Luke Shaw is injury prone. If he stays, he will definitely be injured at some point in the season. And then we have absolutely no clue what the hell is up with Malacia. And there's absolutely no way that after what happened this season, losing both Shaw and Malacia for basically the whole season, we can be like, yeah, we'll be fine with them too. Don't worry about it. It's like 4 weeks into the league, we all know what's going to happen, and then we'll be totally screwed. You know what I mean? So the left back position probably is more important than the right back for right now. I'm just trying to think. You get the center back, CDM, striker, then left back, right? So that's 4. Uh, and then it's kind of a free for all between, do you get another center back? I guess it depends if we're keeping Maguire or not. The winger and the right back. It's a difficult thing, but at least for me, I think that we got nailed down the top 3, which is the a center back, CDM, and a striker. I think those are the top 3 main important ones. I think it'd be interesting to see who we go for in the CDM position because there's been some talk of Onana from Everton. I think he would probably go for around 45 million, 50 million maybe, something like that. So maybe we might get him or somebody else, but I haven't been seeing too much, that we've been linked to that. Richard saying we are not getting all these players, guys. I mean, we might not, but you need to aim for it at least, right? You need to aim for it. You need to aim for it. Definitely the top 3, you got to get them. The top 3, they have to. And the player outings as well, but the top 3 positions are must. And I would even include 4 because I think again that left back position is definitely a concern. So I think they need to get at least 4 if they're gonna fail to get the other ones. Center back, CDM, striker, and the left back. I think they need to do those deals. Because I wouldn't feel so confident going into next season, and we're just there with Sean Malasi again. Even if we had maybe a Harry Amos as a backup, still, I'm like, I could still see a point where we get into the season where it's like, we've lost both of them, and now we're down to a 17-year-old kid as the only option playing left back. There's no backup. Yeah, I would be very concerned. So, I don't know. I'm just gonna check to see if there was any updates while we were live. And then we will call it a day. We have hit 11 likes, so thank you everybody that smashed the like button. Let's see what we got here. Any good news? Anything at all? So I'm seeing something here. It's not necessarily from a journalist per se, but INEOS INEOS want to take financial advantage of signing players with 1 year left on their deals. Okay, so this is a little bit of an interesting update because I was not aware of this, but so uh this guy's I forgot his name, his first name, but Fofana, the one that plays at Monaco, starts with a Y. He's supposedly available for 25 million because he has 1 year left on his contract. And Lenny Yoro is available for maybe 40 to 50 million because he also has about 1 year left on his contract. So Fofana would be the DM. And Lenny Yoro could play right-sided center back as well. Obviously, Euro has some competition. You know, it's not just us. Real Madrid are kind of looking at him. Liverpool are kind of looking at him. I don't know if they've entered the race, but they have their eye on him. And here you go, Ben Jacobs, 15 minutes ago. Or maybe this was from earlier, but again, somebody posted this 15 minutes ago saying Manchester United will open offers for Aaron Wan-Bissaka this summer, according to Ben Jacobs. There you go. There's a new Mano chant, by the way. There's a new Mano chant that we have created. It says his name. His name is Kobe Manu. Away, away. He hates the fucking Scousers. Away, away. He never gives the ball away. Who makes these chants? Obviously, I'm not singing it, but like you gotta hear them sing it. But there is a new Kobe Mano chant. I'm just reading what they're saying. I think that is pretty much it. Anthony made some sort of statement, but kind of read it. Anthony made a statement on his Instagram saying 2023-24 was a very difficult season for many reasons. I suffered quietly. I took this period to reflect and seek self-knowledge. Today, at the end of the season, I can say that after everything I've been through, I feel much stronger and ready for the challenges. Football gave me everything I have. Thanks to it, I was able to help my family, change my life, and open up a range of opportunities. After time, the experience will give me the tools to achieve my biggest goals, which are success, and to build my story in a world as challenging as the one we live in. I thank God, my family, our fans, my work colleagues, and the entire Manchester United staff. So it's Anthony making a statement on Instagram. That's pretty much it. That's all the updates we have for today. So again, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for everybody that smashed the like button. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Lyle. Thank you, Ray, for being here. Thank you, Axe Lord. I think he left though, right? But anyway, thank you to him. Shout out to him. Thank you to Sandy that was in here earlier. Thank you to Sadiq for being in here earlier. Thank you to Fred that was in here earlier. I don't know if he's still in here. But thank you to everybody that tuned in. I appreciate you all. It was a good stream once again. Felt good to be back. But we will be back again. Again, this is kind of like crazy season, right? So we will see what happens. I really want to try and get a schedule down, but it's hard for me to get a schedule. But if anything, I will be more consistent. I will be at least consistent with the time at the time that we've been going live. I think the time is a very good time. I like this time. So, but again, it depends, what kind of news we get tomorrow. If I don't go live tomorrow, most likely, we'll probably go live on Monday or Tuesday, because I expect that's when we're gonna get some more news. Maybe even a Sunday night, or a Sunday, because we do get some news on Sundays. So I'll see. I'll try and schedule it ahead of time. But otherwise, you guys be good. Take care. Stay safe. We'll see you. Thank you to everybody that smashed the like button. Thank you for anybody that subscribed. That's a new subscriber. Um, and thank you to everybody that got involved in the chat. It was good to speak to you guys again and have some conversations. So I hope everybody stays safe and does well. And we will catch you on the next one. You guys are all legends, and we will see you definitely for the next one. I look forward to it. Take care, guys. Take care.